Hi there, I'm Christian Brim, and welcome to Core Focus, where we give you one breakthrough business idea for your small business in less than 5 minutes. My guest today is Chris Porter from Expect3 Digital Media. Chris, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm well, thanks. For those of you who don't know Chris is the Director of Operations with Expect3 Digital Media, a marketing and advertising agency designed to provide small businesses with high quality and effective tools to share their story. Throughout his career, Chris has had the opportunity to work with clients of all sizes, from major motion pictures to local mom and pop stores. With an unquenchable thirst for knowledge, Chris has studied and worked in many avenues and mediums of marketing and advertising, having held the titles of sales manager, senior graphic artist, senior web developer, director of creative, videographer, branding specialist, and others. Chris attributes much of his and his clients' success to creative thinking and a firm belief that every problem has a solution if one is willing to search for it outside of the traditional box. Understanding that no two companies are alike, Chris designs and implements creative, unique strategies to share a business's story to the corresponding market demographic to achieve result-driven services. The subject today is driving customers to your door like a pro, and the rules are simple. We have 5 minutes for the interview, and when the countdown timer reaches 0 and the buzzer goes off, the interview is cut, whether you are in full flight or mid-sentence. Chris, do you accept the challenge?
I do.
Great. Your time starts now. The biggest complaint I hear is not enough people are buying, finding us, etc. How can small businesses get their name out there?
It's a great question to start off with. Essentially, the best way to do this is to figure out who you are and what is the story that you're telling. What are you presenting to the world out there? We have a phrase we like to use here called attraction marketing or magnetic marketing. Essentially, are you as a company or as a business or even as an individual, are people drawn to you to use your services and to buy your products? And we use that through a magnitude of different variety of ways. Are you telling the story about who you are, what you are on social media? Is your website presenting the same story? Is your storefront presenting the same story? And are we being consistent in what we're doing and what we're trying to drive people in for? So a lot of things that we miss up here a little bit is we only go with one avenue. Are you doing the full wheel of marketing that's available for you? Are you telling your story out of your own mouth to people that you know on the street? Is your website telling the same story? So are you advertising what you are and how you do things differently from your competition? Are you separating yourselves through good storytelling, through personality of who you are and what your company is?
So as a small business, a huge drawback I hear about advertising and marketing is the cost. Does it take a lot of money to advertise correctly?
That's probably one of the biggest misconceptions that's out there, is that it's all about what budget you can put into it. Now, with that said, I will say you do get what you pay for to some level. But what you spend doesn't necessarily determine the quality of what you do. Those are two very, very different things. There's quality advertising and then there's expensive advertising. So what's out there and what you can do is really understand that it's not necessarily the budget, it's the plan. It is the attitude of what you're doing when you're actually out there marketing. So there's a lot of community stuff that's completely free for you to do. That's super effective in terms of touching your potential customers out there, portraying your brand, and really drawing them into you in that attraction model that I talked about. What we look at here myself is an amateur versus professional type of a deal. Amateurs out there just take money and they throw at it and they hope that someday they're going to earn that money back and make profit in the deal. As a professional, we take a completely different approach. For us, it's really just a matter of science and math. Basically, through a long-term concept of developing data and research through the time we run a campaign, we can really figure out that this amount of money put in generates this amount of money out the backside of it. We do that through a concept of conversion rate and a bunch of other math and numbers that we crunch out there through trial and error of things to really decide when we put in this much money, we get this much traffic to our site. This much traffic to our site converts to this many people filling out the form and contacting us. We know that from that number, we can then convert this many to actual sales. For each sale, we earn X amount of dollars. So we can then calculate this amount of money earns us this much in profit on the backside. And that's really what the professional kind of does. And it has nothing to do with how much money we put in. It's just about, is the flow correct? And is it quality and effective more so than expensive?
So I'm going to go off script here for a second. Is there a standard that you use or the industry uses as far as what that multiplier or what that return on investment should be?
A standard question that comes back with that. We get asked that all the time. And unfortunately, the answer to that is absolutely no. Typically, we want to try to reach certain targets. So should you be able to double your money in essence? Sure. But in reality, every product price point is different. So some people sell 99-cent products, so their margins are completely different than somebody who sells $1,000 products. So depending on what those margins are and kind of what we're able to put in on the front end and how much data we're able to gather. If we're doing things through a digital medium, we have a lot more data than through a traditional medium. But sometimes certain business markets just function better in a traditional medium with TV and radio and print and direct mail pieces. In those mediums, it just works better. Lawn companies, for existence, just work better. They get better return from those, and I can't measure them with statistics nearly as well. So it's hard necessarily to say that everybody should have a benchmark that they reach. With that said, the benchmark everybody should reach is you earn more than you put in.
Right. So across your career, you've heard horror stories. What are some of the major mistakes small business owners make?
That's a simple one. The biggest mistake that people make out there is consistency. Everybody wants a quick fix. We just live in a society that thinks that way, that if I put in this money now, it's instantly going to return money back in my pocket. And that's just not how business works. We don't do that with a gym. We don't sign up for a gym membership and go the first day and expect to have lost weight already. It's about time and consistency and consistent storytelling through the whole process. So consistency is by far the biggest thing that people have trouble with. We stop too early. The other side of thing is demographics. Are you actually reaching the right people? A lot of times we do a lot of marketing for clients because they ask us to do what they like. And that's not necessarily what their customers like. Right. So are we trying to sell the owner of the company in themselves, which they've already bought in, they own it, or are we trying to sell potential customers who will buy it? So are you sending the right messaging that reaches the right people in the right way, in the right place at the right time is another big mistake that's out there.
Chris, that's all the time we've got. I appreciate it. How can people get more information on Expect3?
But they can go to our website, which is www.expect3.com. Or if anybody has any questions they want a little more specific than that, feel free to email me. My email address is Chris, CHRIS, @expect3.com. And anything comes in, I'd be happy to answer.
Chris, I appreciate your time. Thank you very much, sir.
Thanks for having me.